PTS Phase 2, Onderon, Duxon, and updated news on gear. These topics and more coming up on this episode of the Escape Podcast for Star Wars The Old Republic. Our broadcast astromech today is EPC 307. And playing alongside me is Seema. Hi Seema, how's it going?
It is going pretty well. I'm just shocked because today I realized how close we are to the end of August, and it's like the end of summer and officially kind of coming to a close of the end of our summer of 300. Although it doesn't officially end until the achievement goes away, which will be October 22nd. But I finished. I finished summer of 300, so I have all my characters. I mean, all 8 classes done to command rank 300.
Very nice. Congratulations. Yeah, you got that.
Woohoo!
What is it? What is it? Something commander? Eternal commander? Resolute commander.
Yep,
well done.
I am resolute. We just got done with our ops night, and we had a Queen Eyeless night, meaning that we did Queen on the M side, Queen on the pub side, and then we went and did hard mode Eyeless for the pet, and the pet dropped, which was good. Because he doesn't always drop, I don't think.
No, it doesn't. That was really great that it dropped. So
it was great because that was one of the reasons we did it.
Well, that was the only reason we did it, pretty much. It's not like we needed more Rec-Cool canisters.
Right.
Yeah, so that was great. Dent got it, and we just need to do it by about 8 more years, and we'll all have it, which will be nice.
Right. We also did the eyeless on MFN, but this Tuesday this week, that one we did 16-man story mode, and then we went and did some rampages. While also we ran it when we ran into Shell Shock, we killed him, which is the world boss on Alderaan for this event. And other things going on with me this week, I poked my nose into the WoW Classic launch, which was just fun. It was fun because of how excited everybody was and how people were remembering the olden times. And I mean, it was just like a fun social thing, and I enjoyed it a lot. It'll be interesting to see what more comes from that or doesn't come from that, but it's definitely interesting.
Yes, it is.
Let's see. That's pretty much it for my week. How about with you, Max?
I also, so backwards to forwards against your week, I have been doing some WoW Classic as well. I was in WoW for the launch of original vanilla, so I'm having all those flashbacks as well. I'm jury's out in my mind whether this is. I mean, you can't say it hasn't been a successful launch, but I mean, besides technically the queues and everything, which just feel terrible. But I think that's by design to push people to some of the other servers.
Although, I mean, stability-wise, has been very strong.
I'm now, I thought that was a fine idea to start, and now I don't think it's actually a fine idea. I think that's the wrong way to go about that from Blizzard's perspective, and I'm not sure that they have even the technology or wanted to invest the technology to solve that in the way that they probably could these days, but weren't going to. Anyway, really cool. Yes, way more excitement. Well, at the high end of the range of level of excitement as I expected. We all in the whole world expects a drop off in excitement in the next couple of weeks. Or like maybe a month out or 2 months out.
I think it's gonna settle down to a group of people that are just really happy to be there.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be a fun atmosphere in that game. That's my prediction. Although my predictions aren't really stellar lately.
So we'll see. Yeah, we'll talk about one of your predictions in just a little bit, won't we? Which I think they got it wrong, not you. I also had fun with the Queen and the Eyeless, and yes, doing veteran mode Eyeless to get that drop. It almost makes you want to go in there with other characters and try to get pug groups or do it more times this week.
Because I'm up for that.
It's been years trying to go after that stupid Rackling. So,
Symbiote Reckling.
symbiote Rackling. That would be great. Summer of 300. I still have 3 characters to go. I was going to pop one tonight, and they're all sort of living on the edge. And I've got now CXP packs, probably enough to pop all of them. But I want to do it live on the stream, and we've got weeks and weeks, so I will push it till push it to the limit. And yeah, end of August for me, for my work. This is the end of the end of our fiscal year, so it sort of seems like the end of a year for me this week and this month. It's it's a little bit more than just the end of summer. Technically, the end of summer is September 21st, I believe, which would be the autumnal equinox. So even summer of 300, we could stretch it out till then probably, for my last couple characters. But yeah, don't let me forget, everyone, please, to get my Resolute before October 22nd. That would be great to not forget that.
Right.
Otherwise, there's just a tiny bit of news this week to go over.
Oh
Let's
my
let's
gosh, so much
let's do a
news.
rundown.
Now, an Imperial News Network report.
Okay, this is the way we're going to do it this week. We're going to go through a rundown. We're going to hit each of the major news topics, each of the things in the dev tracker, which are the major components of things that are ending up on the PTS this week that are ready for testing. We are not going to deep dive into any one of them. So we're going to go through all of them. We're going to skim through everything that they talked about in the live stream yesterday. And we're going to do a little visual and audio tour of both the entrance to Duxon and Onderon. What we'll be doing in the subsequent weeks is, man, how many do we have here?
Many,
So at
many.
least probably at least 5 shows where we'll have an opportunity to. What I'd like to do first is get a bunch of our questions answered, and then do a secondary deep dive into each one of these topics, like the gearing and the 2 vendors, like Duxon the operation, like the renown and how that's looking, crafting and how that's updating. Even though we did a crafting show last week, now we're learning more and more, and we'll see if it's changed at all. So we're probably going to do deep dive shows. Let's kick it off with what we know so far, though. So going all the way back about a week ago, the first sort of little side thing that came up was they posted another one of these making of posts in the dev tracker. It is called The Making of Max Shaw. They brought back Carrie Mead to discuss it in text, in a sort of little interview style text with Charles Boyd. Not a ton of detail in here, but they throw a couple things back and forth, bounce their ideas off, or answer to a handful of questions, and it little quick read there for you. So I encourage you to go check it out.
Also, they made the announcement this week of the actual release date of Onslaught, which is going to be October 22nd.
Mm-hmm. They missed your
Yeah.
your guidance to them,
Right.
so
That's right.
I hope you brought
Yes,
that
I
up in the
wanted it to
staff
be the
meeting.
first Tuesday in October, but you know, October 22nd, I'll go for that.
Yeah,
And also between now and then, there are no more patches. The only thing that we'll see, you know, releases of will be the PTS between now and then.
right. I know people were hoping for either like a prelude event or
Yeah,
patch or
like a
update.
pre-patch.
People were also
Yeah.
hoping for Nautilins to come out sooner, and neither of those things is going to happen. So just as a heads up, they're putting all of their focus and energy into the PTS. And if you're looking for anything to do, I encourage you to get on there, get on the PTS, both for the achievements, which we'll continue to talk about over the next couple of weeks. You have to do something in this phase 2 currently, and in phase 3 to get those achievements, to get the awesome Kaiser. somebody just somebody just went through this force field behind me. So we're on Odessin, and they put the light bridge to the entrance to Duxon. That's the way they do the temporary on the PTS temporary entrances to new operations. And if you're not 75, that it won't be a purple window, it will be yellow. and it is not a barrier. So if you're not 75 and you run up to
Max
the
ran
end
off the end.
thinking you're just going to like run in there and zone into Duxon, you are not. In fact, you are then going to fall to your death, which I think is hilarious. So I just saw
funny.
somebody run off the edge. Again, oh, here goes somebody else. Go, Enzi, go. They backed it up. Back it up. Oh. They run up. Is that somebody who's listening? Because they ran off the side. So it would. Oh, that's smoke. I can tell that's smoke. Ran off the end. I don't know why that cracks me up, but it does. So where was I in the news?
Yep.
So
We will walk in then.
yes, we will go in there, and we did now boosted ourselves to 75, so we are not falling off. Next up, they did talk specifically about the Nautilins. So Nautilins are coming. The Nautilins will be a subscriber reward. All you need to do is subscribe anytime between September 1st and October 22nd. Subscribe even one single day across that time between
Even 1 second.
even one iota of a moment of a discrete bit of
Unit
time.
of time.
What am I? A quantum of time. So yeah, and here's they threw in another picture of a Nautilon, and then you won't get the Nautilon until it won't unlock until the 6.0 goes live. But then as soon as 6.0 goes live, then it'll unlock for you, and it'll be available for you to create a character or transform a character or whatever you want to do. So yeah.
So if you have if your sub is like ending sometime in September or whatever, you qualify. If you started in September, you qualify.
Yeah, I would say, by middle of October, or by after the beginning of October is a great time to pop a sub. So you're also subbed for the start of the expansion, and then you're going to get the expansion. And then even if you then unsub so that you're not subbed in November, you'll get the playthrough time and you'll get to play the expansion there in October. All right, so here's the start of the feedback ones. What's our first feedback and notes on what's in, Seema?
The crafting feedback. So basically what they're telling us is we can go and mess around with crafting. When you actually craft something, though, you may or may not actually make it, and the thing that you do make, if you make something, may not be correct. But what we're looking
Did they
at,
say that?
what they're yes, what they're looking back is what they're looking for is feedback on the acquisition part of it, like getting the materials, harvesting, and the act of crafting. Like, what do you think of that? What do you like about? What do you feel about the time investment? Are the time and the cost values right for crew missions? Um, do you feel like as a crafter you have a place in Spoils of War? I don't know how you would know that if you can't actually see what the gear is after you create it, but
Yeah.
that's the kind of feedback they're
Well, I
looking
mean,
for.
hopefully we can look at the schematics, plus also look at what other kind of schematics are available. So we went through some of this in our previous show. So we're reserving judgment. If it's all the same as what we saw, then as we said in our was that last week we did that, the crafting breakdown.
Yeah,
I will
and
tell
they're
you,
also
yes, it
looking
was.
for feedback on the materials window, which is the new beautiful thing that I'm looking forward to.
And yes, the materials store and the deconstruction window, that's part of it. All of those kinds of things. If it's the same as what we saw last week, then we're a little underwhelmed, and we can then give them feedback on the parts that we'd like to see tuned up. But if anything's different, we're going to keep an eye on that and then watch it as it evolves for sure. Maybe we'll reserve talking about this one until even 3.0 for not 3.0, phase 3 of the PTS drops, so we can see it in a more complete state. So that's the first one. Then amplifier acquisitions. So a thread about acquisition of amplifiers. What are you seeing in amplifiers? Are you understanding what amplifiers are and what they do? Do you get how to re-roll and change an amplifier? How do you feel about that? Does the cost for changing amplifiers feel right? Feel too low, too high? check it out. They showed a little bit of it on the live stream. Maybe we'll talk about it when we get to that point just a little bit. But amplifiers are in for the most part. Get some experience with it. Roll some. Get a sense of where it looks like on the gear, and what you think of it so far.
And then next they had a thread about Dachshund, the operations. So they're saying try it in story mode. They want feedback on whether you think it's too easy or too difficult. Are the mechanics of the encounters clear? Like, do they flow, I guess? And anything else you want to add about it? Like, is there too much trash? Yes, probably.
Seema doesn't even have to see it. Yes.
And I guess they make, this would be a comment for all of them, but when you provide feedback, make sure you let them know which encounter you're talking about. And then technically, if you wanted to, Veteran Dachshund is on the PTS, but they're not really looking for feedback on that because they're not providing gear, so it wouldn't be useful feedback because you're not geared for it.
So Seema, Dachshund's the new operation. Would you rather fight one horse-sized Dachshund or 100 Dachshund-sized horses?
I would totally. What was the second choice?
100 Dachshund-sized horses, or one
I
horse-sized
definitely
Dachshund.
want to fight 100 tiny horses. That's what I would. That sounds awesome to me.
Okay, next up, there's a feedback thread for the elusive Kai Zeiken. I'm Kai Zeiken. Kai Zeiken sets up shop in the supplies section of the fleet to sell an ever-changing inventory of specific items. How specific? What do you mean by specific? I think they are pretty specific, and we can even go, again, when we get to the live stream, maybe we'll pop over to the fleet and look at it to see how specific. There's two vendors, and Seema's going to mention the second one in just a second, but the Kai Zeiken one he's elusive, so what it's going to turn out to be and what they talked about so far is he's only going to be showing up periodically. It sounds like it's going to be every weekend. And then he's going to have a rotating set of stuff. So what they're looking for on feedback is the price on the items, because it's a combination of tech fragments and credits that you have to pay for each item. Do you think it's an adequate variety? Do you think the rotation that's available? What does that look like? This is something I'm going to be looking very closely at, and I think everyone is, because it's part of the whole loot acquisition and how that's feeling for us so far.
Right. So the other vendor that's up is the tech fragment vendor, and tech fragments are like what was going to be, well, what they've been calling Chuck Bucks or Charles Points, right?
Yeah.
So the tech fragments vendor has gear on it. So they're looking for feedback on, did you understand what you're getting when you purchased it or whatever? And how do you feel about the price, and does it feel valuable to do? And yeah.
So,
so
again, we're not going to dive into too much detail, but I clicked on the wrong one, didn't I? The tech fragment. I must have grabbed the wrong link. Anyway, there's a tech fragment feedback post on this as well. Tech fragment vendor. Thanks. I hate it. Tech fragment vendor we'll get to, I guess, when we get into a little more detail. That's one key problem I have right now with sort of the whole gear acquisition is it's a second RNG roll on a first RNG roll is the way the tech fragment vendor works. So maybe we'll go look at that when we get to the fleet too. And then the overall thread that they have on loot acquisition is the main feedback thread for loot acquisition. Phase 2 is all about getting loot, blah, 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 blah. That's what they're testing in this phase. Does acquiring gear feel too fast, too slow? So this is everything. So this includes as you're doing an operation or a flashpoint. Flashpoints and the last boss of flashpoints are tuned to get more tacticals. It's not guaranteed, but that's where you have a better chance of getting tacticals. Bosses and operations are better tuned towards set pieces, I believe. And then you're also getting tech the tech tokens, the tech pieces. I forgot what they're called already. Chuck bucks uh, that you can use to purchase stuff off of Kaizyken or the other vendor. That's all part of, and then you're also getting renown crates, which you're getting tech tokens out of, and potentially drops of other things. All of those things put together, that's sort of what the main point of us evaluating phase 2 of the PTS is. So keep an eye on it. This is a great thread to have a view into, and an opportunity to provide a whole bunch of that feedback. I'm interested to hear a bunch of people's thoughts. I haven't looked at these threads yet, but I've looked at a few other sources. I was looking at some other threads and discussions and talking to guildies and talking in Discord in a couple places, hearing what other people are thinking and feeling, so that I know what to think, because I can't just make my own decisions unless I hear what other people think, of course.
I totally, I totally need to hear what other people think.
No, I mostly need to hear it in case that they're wrong, so I can tell them, uh, which they really appreciate. So yeah, but I do want to hear people's feedback, and the parts that are, that grind your gears the most, or the parts you're most excited about. That's what I'm most interested in hearing about from everyone. So there's that.
And then there's a thread on renown feedback where they remind us that renown, even though it's the replacement for Galactic Command, it's different. It's not meant to be the primary source of gear. It's a supplementary system. So when you're evaluating it, evaluate it as a supplementary system.
Yeah.
And then a couple other reminders: it's completely flat leveling, so like it's the same amount of points or whatever you want to call it to go from 1 to 2 as it is to go from 500 to 501. And every crate gives you loot based on your character, so
Right.
there's no tiers anymore.
Right. And remember that whole loot based on your character is the gear that you have equipped, plus or minus a little bit, is the range of what you're going to be getting as additional drops for everything. All of the personal loot that you'll be getting on personal rolls, on flashpoints and bosses, and personal conquest targets, and these crates. To be very clear, to reinforce what Seema said, and to sort of double down, and I believe them when they're saying this, this is not Galactic Command. These crates, they're not taking them out completely. It's a fun little thing to get on the side. You could completely ignore them and not even consider them
Yeah.
as part of your gear acquisition scheme. They're
Right. In fact, they even said that on live stream. You could completely. No, they were talking about amplifications. Never mind.
Yeah, amplifiers, which you could ignore also, but no one is going to, and everybody's going to think they have to get best in slot. There's a whole other rant that I have around that. but these, yeah. So everybody hated Galactic Command because that was the way to get gear. That's no longer the way to get gear. These crates will be, once in a while you'll get an extra crate, and it's going to be a little bonus, a little bonus on the side. And yeah, you could just delete them. You could ignore them completely, and you'll still gear up. All your gear is coming from other places for the most part. And then they also have in a thread so that you can give feedback to the planet of Onderon. And so in a second here, we're going to venture our own selves to Onderon. And there's a bunch of story that's going to go on in Onderon. None of the story is in currently. There's a bunch of story that's going to go on in a Mech Shaw. So Mech Shaw is not even in at all, because they didn't even have anything picked out that you could do on Mech Shaw that wasn't story just yet. But a bunch of Onderon will be daily quests and daily areas that you can come back to over time. So that's mostly what's in right now. The whole place doesn't look completely complete to me just yet. It's supposed to be this jungle filled with beasts and monsters all over the place, and it didn't seem all that monstery or beastly to me. And down in the crypts and some of the tombs, I didn't find much down there. So I think it might not all be that complete just yet. But they do have a bunch of the dailies in there, and they do have a couple people you can talk to. So we'll touch on that in just a second too.
And then the next one is just really more of a heads up that there are Republic classes now that are playable on the PTS, with the exception of Trooper, which isn't quite complete yet.
Right. Except for the one that I'm looking for.
Right. But it should come,
Yeah.
during
And
phase
it's a
two.
mirror
So
of PowerTech. So just test the stuff on PowerTech if you want. And then one more note: there is a bug currently on Odessin. There's a terminal here. Oops. A terminal here in the back here that's supposed to be giving you gear for your character. It's not working. So to, if it should be, it's not. There are, if you're on the Imperial side on the starter planets, there's a similar uh, terminal which should be giving you gear, which will on the starter planets, so you can just go to those starter planets and get it. They're good. It's broken. They got to fix it, and Republic characters are a little bit out of luck right now until they fix it. Most of the time, it's just not working. But that's a bug. In community news, the New York Cantina was confirmed. So the New York Comic Con Cantina, October 4th is the date. There's going to be a Cantina event in downtown New York, or I can never say downtown. So in Chicago, everything is downtown because in relation to the suburbs, you're out in the suburbs or you sort of like a gravity well. Everything is
yeah,
into town.
right.
But in New York, downtown means something. There's uptown and there's downtown and there's east side and west side. So I can't just say, oh, it's. So what I'm meaning is in the metropolis of New York,
You're right. Somewhere
Manhattan,
within the boundary.
somewhere
Oh.
on the island of Manhattan, there will be a meetup for the New York Cantina. Midtown. Apparently, Zen says it's going to be in Midtown. See, I said uptown, downtown, and apparently there's a Midtown too. West side, east side, middle side. From
Well,
14th to 59th Streets is Midtown.
that's good to know.
There's going to be a cantina, and there's going to be a pretty sizable community meetup of AIE people, bunch of AIE people, and a bunch of other people that I'm sure we're going to pull in and have fun with as well. I am 95% sure that I am going to be there too. So I just need next couple weeks. I need to confirm that everything, as I said, start of our fiscal year. I've got teams all over the U.S. that I'm trying to coordinate things with and get things lined up. And as long as I can work it out, in fact, it's an excuse that one of my one of the people on my team runs our innovation center in New York. Maybe I can arrange that as part of the trip and a reason to be out there, even if.
I mean, if you can't, I don't know what to say. Seems like you should be able to pull that off.
And you, Seema, will you be there then? If
No.
yeah, no.
No, not me.
Yeah, no. Yeah, no. All right.
I will avidly listen to all the stories though.
Will you be there at the next mega? Why don't you tell us about that?
It's likely that I will be. So the September mega is going to be Witless, as Max put in the notes, which is where in the world is SEMA San Diego. So it's sort of like a searching game.
Except I should have made it Witgis. Where in the galaxy
Yeah.
is SEMA San Diego?
Where in the galaxy is SEMA San Diego?
Witgis.
Yeah, so that should be fun. I don't have to do anything. It's my favorite part.
Oh, so that'll be in September. Oh, all the months
Yeah.
are running together now. That's what happens. That's what happens
should
when
be in
you're
September.
749 years old. Oops, I gave away that I'm a Highlander. Max McLeod from the Clan McLeod. Shout out to the chat room. Thank you, everybody in the chat room. Thank you, Zen, for all of the instructional on the zones of Manhattan that's important to us, and everybody for hanging out in there and letting us know and keeping us up to date and helping us by demonstrating jumping off of, of high places. That is just awesome. All right, Seema, you think this is a game changer? Because I do.
Game changer.
Game changer for
Game changer for the industry.
It's just a phase, Seema. It's just a phase. It is a
It's a
phase.
phase 2.
Phase 2. It is. Keeping in mind, there will be 3 phases. So this is phase 2. There's going to be a phase 3. There is something you need to do in phase 2 and in phase 3 if you want the meta reward, which we got to see and preview on the live stream, which is the amazing and incredible Kai Seiken log mount. It is epic. It is kind of epic.
And no, it doesn't go at any reasonable speed. You're just lucky it moves at all.
Right. In fact, it goes slower than walking speed at times. Not always, because it can't even maintain a constant speed of any kind. But the graphics and everything are just awesome. So in phase 2, I think the key thing that you need to do is log in, for one, and then for 2, you need to do 5 group finder activities. So 5 flashpoints, 5 PvP war zones, 5 operations, and I think you could do a mix of them as well. In fact, if we
I am assuming you can do a mix.
so is it in here? Can we find it in here? Achievements, flashpoint. So where would it be here in my list of non-searchable legacy?
He said it was under feats of strength.
Oh, yeah, he said down here under feats of strength, activities. What is this? Public activist phase 2. So I've got these first 2. So I've got play to give. I've got eye for an eye. So public activist phase 2. Complete 5 flashpoints, war zones, uprisings, starfighter operations with the activity finder. So yeah, I would expect it's a mix, and every time you do any one of those, it increments this by 1. In Alea Iacta Est, our guild, which you could be a member of if you are interested, we are going to be grouping up and doing this on the PTS. We're going to make sure we get this together, because I certainly want the log mount. And we're going to have to do it 5 times in phase 2 and again 5 times in phase 3. So be prepared for that. Don't go on vacation for a month like my friends in Europe.
Yes.
So live stream. Did you catch the live stream, Seema?
I did.
What'd you think? Give me your
I thought it was
raw impressions, Seema.
Well, here's my pro tip for watching any of these live streams is you hit that little arrow button that closes out the chat window. Because it's very distracting.
Eric,
So it's
when will pets get machine guns? Eric, when will pets get machine guns? All caps, 75 times.
right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Although, a lot of fine people, a lot of good people are in there too. I at least said hi to all the usual suspects I saw in there, which is all the influencers and everybody. Truthfully, though, my favorite way to watch the live stream is to not watch it live and wait till they get it up on YouTube, and then I can set it to like double speed, and I can pause, and I can go back and forth.
But isn't Eric on double speed then really fast?
If only I could, if it didn't adjust the pitch. You know how when it does double speed, it doesn't let the pitch go up. That would be even better. Then would be Eric going, remember that these notes are only about what was that at the stream. That'd be great. Hi, Chicken Eyelids. So I was saying I did not say hi to him.
During the live stream.
Not during the live stream. I guess I did not. I said hello, everyone. I started with that. So if you are included in that, which you are, then I said hi to you too. So they did a little bit of a playthrough, and they tried to show off some things as they were doing the playthrough, which I don't think was an ideal way to go about doing this. Although, it wasn't terrible, but I think it almost created more questions than it answered in some ways, which is now what we're going to have to discover for ourselves to some degree on the PTS. And I'm trying to find a way to get them to answer a bunch of questions, either in the forums or on the telephone, whatever I can do. We have, as I said, I have questions, and I'm going to need those questions answered. So let's run down a little bit. And while we're running down, let's run on down. Why don't you convert us to an ops group, and we'll run
Okay.
into to Duxon to start. While we're running down some of the things that they said in the stream. I made sure that the barrier turned purple before I ran out there. So we're just in the entrance of Duxon. They definitely said that Duxon is in. They did not go into Duxon, but Duxon is live. So that was part of what they talked about. So Duxon is live. You can get in here. You can. They're suggesting that you focus on, if you're going to do operations, that you focus on Duxon or on Karaga's Palace.
Frog's Palace.
Those two are the two that they've sort of tuned up for this phase 2. In here in Duxon, though, teams are already coming in and checking it out and testing it out. This is a double opportunity. Remember, the key for this phase that they're looking for is feedback on what loot is dropping, how that loot feels, what you're getting off the bosses, personal roles versus boss roles. Check it out. The other thing you could be testing, certainly here in Duxon, which I certainly encourage you to do, is how's the operation? How's it working? How do you like the trash? How do you like the bosses? First boss nicknamed Cherry Kephis. They got all these beautiful palm trees. I do like, and we'll go to Onderon too. So Duxon, remember, is the moon. Member.
Member.
Duxon is the moon, and then up there in the sky is Onderon, the planet. It's huge because in theory they're very close. They rotate very close to each other. From an astrophysics perspective, this would not work. There would be such enormous tidal forces on both of them that they would both be molten balls of lava if they hadn't already collided. However, in suspending disbelief, in this version of physics, they are close enough that their atmospheres even sweep by each other and touch at various times. And once their atmospheres intermingle, a bunch of the nastiest creatures which originate on Duxon cross over and get over to Onderon. So I think it is really cool how you look up there and the planet takes up half the sky, and vice versa. When you're on Onderon, you look up at Duxon. It's just enormous. So that was the first thing that caught my eye. And then the second thing, of course, was these purple palm trees. I need a stack of 999 of those for my stronghold. Or I need a Duxon stronghold or an Onderon stronghold because they are super cool. I like this. What caught your eye here in Duxon, Seema?
Huh?
What caught your eye? Did
Oh,
did
is that it looks all kind of blue. That was the first thing that I got.
yeah, the palette is a cool palette, and it's sort of a blue palette, which I like. I like that better than the typical orangey palettes that we've been getting in the past on most planets in most areas. I prefer a cooler palette. I think it makes our armor look cooler and that kind of thing. And then the other thing I noticed, oh, there we go. Let's try to kill one of them. Flesh-eating shrikes. They are quite dangerous, and so we're trying to kill one of them here. It's oh, that's gonna leave a mark. And I'm dead.
Me too.
Oh, I tried to get it. We almost got one down. Oh, and now my armor's broken. So we haven't gotten past the trash, but as I said, we're not doing a deep dive in any one of the areas, but it's here. Do it. One of our Marcus from the Working Class Nerds podcast and one of our officers already put a group together, and they downed the first boss at least. If they haven't gone through more so far, do it. Do it.
Yes.
What else? What else did they show, Seema? What did he show? What was he doing? Was he in what flash? Oh, he was just doing
He
Hammer
was
Station.
in Hammer Station.
Oh,
Yeah.
he was just doing Hammer Station.
Because if you do a flashpoint, that is the one they're saying that they want to kind of drive people to is Hammer Station.
Hammer time.
You can do any of them. They're available. So I'm not exactly sure why, but maybe that helps them filter through feedback if it's all on a same set of encounters.
Yeah. Okay. The entrance to Duxon, if you notice here where we got ejected when we exited area because you cannot walk out that gate is locked. So if those flesh-eating shrikes, those shark-like shrikes come after you, there's no escape.
Shrieks.
Shrieks.
Yes.
I like to say shrike, which is wrong, apparently. But shrieks? Okay, they're shrieks. It's the shuttle though is through this little entrance here in the
Oh,
hunting
Zen
lodge.
just said that gear drops are only updated for Hammer Station and KP.
Okay, that makes sense. That's why they're directing
I
us
missed that.
in that direction. So here on Onderon as well, the things that they suggested testing on Onderon. So if we go out here, out into the main courtyard, is the dailies. So there's a little bit of conversation. There's a couple people you can meet outside here. I do like some of the decorations here in the hallways. There are creature decorations. These must be new ducks and beasties, which are kind of nasty, which I like. And I also like it as a decoration, so I hope we get these for our strongholds and whatnot. But if you go out here into the courtyard, you'll see a couple people you can talk to, a couple places you can pick up. So a terminal where you can pick up a whole bunch of dailies, and then this archaeologist you can talk to, and she gives you a daily. So the archaeologist was more like a normal conversation, except that my character didn't voice anything when I talked to them. But the other thing I noticed here, let me just get rid of all of these. The other thing I noticed, again, we're not diving deep, but it just caught my eye. I'll give you one quick thing. Getting a little bit of, I don't know if they are going to fully voice and voice act all of these or not, but a couple of them that are in there are not. They're the shortcut style, KOTOR style conversation scenes, which I was only so on. So watch this when I start up and talk to my Royal Guard commander. You know, it's like this letterbox thing. It only shows like the back of your head, and then you get 3 conversations choices showing up in the margin down below.
Right.
So, not as fond of those. I know they're a lot easier to make, but the fully voice acted, where you're also talking, is much what I prefer. But I you know, I'm willing to sacrifice if it means we get more content, but then that means I want 7.0 in like January. So that's what the kind of trade-off I'm talking about here. So yeah. So Eric in the live stream. A couple of other things about the PTS when you first get here. The PTS has been wiped completely. So if you've been on here before, if you came on and you created a new 75 and you spent all the time to get a whole bunch of gear and slot all the gear and augmented, yeah, that's all gone. so you got that going for you. Instead,
but we knew that was going to happen,
right? Which is fine. Instead, and which we actually prefer, is PTS character copies are now turned back on. You'll go into the SWTOR.com website. You'll go up to the upper right and say My Account. And under My Account, it makes you log in a second time to make sure that you're, for security purposes. Then down in the list on the left, you'll see PTS character copy. Should I bring it up? A little pet peeve of mine on BioWare's. You know, I don't know why sorting. I did sorting is a problem. So
it is a problem.
Apparently, they have not invented in BioWare's realm of development libraries. No one has ever created a sort algorithm, and so I noticed this. So here. I'm going to go to PTS character copy. If I look at my character list, so real quick here to show you my character list. So here's a whole bunch of characters down my character list. Look, they're not sorted by anything. Oh, it would be great to sort them by level. So I'm going to click this level button. It changed the order. No, put it back. I don't know what is it doing? It's resorting something, but it's not sorted by level. How about status? Yeah, status is resorting something too. I don't know what. How about name? Does it even do the names in alphabetical order or anything? Nope. Nope. It's just, so sorting. It's hard. Anyway, you're going to go to that screen. You're going to pick a character. You say copy. If you're logged into the PTS when you do this, it will log you out. It will put two copies of that character then on the PTS. Couple pro tips: make sure you've got whatever you want to bring over in your inventory, whatever credits out of your legacy storage. You want that stuff on your character before you do the copy. Another pro tip: see the cosmetic armor that I'm wearing. So I've got my favorite little cosmetic set here, my energized triumvirate armor. I pulled that out of my collections and I put it in my inventory because your collections do not come over. Your collections are not available. Legacy storage is not available. I also pulled all of the credits out of my legacy bank. Tres comas. Put it on my character, and all of that, and I even grabbed a couple tunings out of collections. One thing I couldn't grab was extra mounts, but I think I got most. Yeah, my mounts are still here because I was afraid my mounts weren't going to be there
The chat room. Well, it takes all sorts. Sounds like it's sort of hard.
either. Well done. I see what you did there. So put that stuff in your inventory before you do your copy, and you'll be set. Don't do what I did the very first time I did the copy. I had to do the copy like 4 times before I got everything I wanted over. The first time, my character was naked, of course, because I never have my gear on my character. So not only did I copy it over without my cosmetic gear, I had none of my other gear, which you
Right.
in particular you do want over, because another thing you can test and check out is how it converts your existing gear over, because that's going to be key. So that gets us to something else that they talked about in the live stream. What's your first impression then of some of the things they were showing off there in terms of the gear acquisition, the set bonuses, the how things are sort of working there? Seema, what are you seeing so far?
Well, I mean, I just did a character copy, and I just have my gear on there. So what I don't know what you meant by see how it converts your gear.
So we did talk about a
It
couple of things.
takes a set bonus off.
Yeah. So it takes the set bonus off. So in 6.0, the set bonuses are on the shells. They're not on the mods. So here, this was all legacy pieces that I had, so I put the mods into here. I had all my set bonus. Those set bonuses are all gone because they're on the shells, right?
Right.
That's kind of problematic to some degree, and
Right.
we're going to have to dig into that and get some questions answered, because on this character, I'm lucky I have 6 shells between 252 and 258. I don't even have 7 on this character, even though I'm full 258 on this character, because I had my commando getting some of the shells and I had my mercenary getting some of the shells. So I have a couple 252 shells, I have a couple 258 shells, and I have a total of 6 shells, luckily.
Oh, I'm not. I mean, I kept the shells, but I don't have any of them equipped.
I certainly don't have them equipped. Yeah, that's the other problem. I definitely don't have them equipped, but I like on my commando, I don't even have 7 shells. Now, are these legacy bound? No. See, and none of these are legacy bound, right? So I won't, like, if 6.0 launched today, I not only would I lose my set bonus off the pieces on my commando, I wouldn't be able to equip enough pieces and reslot
Right.
mods into them to get my 6-piece set bonus back.
Right.
That's weird.
But I guess we have to ask ourselves if we really care.
Right, we do. And that's part of
Yeah, I mean, the only one I care about is the XP gear.
right. So we're going to definitely need to check that out. But it's
But
going
I
to be a
think
really
in
good
general,
question.
people are not going to like their old gear not surviving.
Right.
um,
Breaking.
in its original state.
Yeah,
Yeah,
breaking to some degree.
breaking it. Yeah,
And even though even if it was completely intact, you would use it for about 5 minutes because first you're going to level up to 75, then you're going to go after all the new set bonuses and get all new gear. Anyway, still, it's going to be broken, and it's going to feel bad.
broken is never good.
A couple other things they showed off as they went along. Check out the little upgrade arrow. You like those? Did you notice that?
I I like the concept.
I I'm in I'm curious on what they mean by upgrade. Just
Yeah,
eye
exactly.
level? What if they're both the same eye level? Is it going to know? It probably won't. I can't see how they would know what's going to be.
Maybe it's based on if it's more or less attractive.
maybe it's,
Like this piece is an upgrade for you because it looks much better than the one you have on.
maybe they put all the pieces into a linked list and they ran a sort algorithm on it. So we can be
Uh-oh.
guaranteed
Uh-oh.
uh, at a minimum, I would say if the rating is higher, then you're going to get an up arrow on it. So you'll visually be able to say, oh, wait, I got something in my inventory that's got a little up arrow on it. Maybe it's better. The problem will be,
I like the idea. I'm just cautiously optimistic about what it actually means.
right. The problem will be for two gear pieces close in eye level, but not the exact same eye level, in which the secondary stats or the primary stats are widely different. Or if I've got a
Right.
piece of
Or like
gear, yeah,
or like Zen says, what if it's for the a
yeah,
spec that you're not running, or if it's got if it's got a stat on it that you don't care about, but it's higher because that, like, I don't collect accuracy as a healer, so but what if this piece has, so any piece with any accuracy is going to have more accuracy for
right.
my gear.
Right. So yes, yes, and yes. It'd be interesting to try it, to get like a equip a 252 piece, put a 258 tanking piece in your inventory, and see if it says that that's an upgrade. Because if it does, it is wrong. But I still like it as a starting point to
I do
keep
too.
an eye out for it.
I do too.
Chicken eyelids.
I mean, it kind of reminds me, in the really olden days, we used to stare at the vendors and go, which of these pieces is best for me? And then at one point, I just decided whatever they say is the healer one, I'm just going to take it on faith that it's
Right.
the best one for me.
At least start there, and if someday I get the bug to min max myself, then we can go there. So here's a point of feedback I'm interested for people to hear about, and something I'm continuing to hash through in my own brain and not ready to dive into completely, but I may have a rant about it in the future. is
We're planning storing up for a rant.
And I don't know if my rant is going to be directed at BioWare or my rant is going to be directed at the players or even myself. It's going to be around best in slot, quote unquote best in slot, because people are already talking about in the discussions, in the feedback, they're talking about best in slot, right? There will be, for innovative ordnance mercenary, there will be a best in slot set of gear pieces and amplifiers and augments and yada 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 yada, and set bonuses and everything. And that will be based on simulation and spreadsheets and machine learning models crunching all of the numbers and saying this one is 0.0001% better. You'll get 5 more DPS on Cherry Kefis, first boss of the Duxon operation. This is best in slot. Then that's going to get published somewhere, and then everyone who is doing hard content, and everyone who's even doing like just veteran modes and thinking that they need to not let down their team is going to see that and go, okay, well, I know there's 8 sets and there's 9,000 combinations of amplifiers and there's all of these mods and there's all of these different ways that I could even be mixing set bonuses. None of that matters. You might as well only have one set and one set bonus and one amplifier in the whole game, because that's best in slot and that's all I care about. And all of this RNG and horizontal progression and other set bonuses that I can go get, matters zero, matters not at all, because here's my best in slot list, and that's all I care about. So there's your preview of the rant, and I don't know yet if my conclusion is BioWare needs to do something different, or we're dumb. I'm dumb for giving in to that and thinking that way. I don't know. So
Well, so that one's keyed up and ready, almost ready to go.
send me your feedback. So there's that. I'm trying to scroll down here, then the other big thing. Give me your feedback, Seema. Did you get a taste of? In fact, let's go to the fleet. So we didn't tour around here on too much, but too bad. Let's go to the fleet and go to those two vendors, and let's talk about those two vendors for a second, because they spent time on that on the live stream. I think there's an opportunity to think hard about those two vendors and think hard about gear acquisition. That's the point of this phase 2 of the PTS test. Do it. Look at these vendors. Look at the chuck bucks that are dropping. Look at the stuff that you're getting, and see if there's anything you want to rant about for the way these vendors work. Because I think there's one vendor I like and one vendor I hate. So, so the two vendors are the elusive Kai Zyken, which I think is a little, I don't know, maybe I'll hate that one too. So here's the thrill of the hunt with the Kai Zyken vendor is he's only going to show up on weekends. So I think it's like Friday through Sunday is the only time he's going to be available, right? For one. And when he shows up, each time he shows up each week, he's going to have different stuff. And it's not going to be the same stuff. It's not going to be the same set pieces or whatever. It's going to be different stuff each time. So he's got nothing for me now. We probably need to wait until, apparently we need to, oh no, wait, maybe he is here. Kai Zyken. Yeah, okay, so he's got stuff here. So he's got some stuff here. He's got some tacticals. He's got the aggressive treatment belt. So this is all set for Arsenal. So this is set stuff for me, right? It's not all of the sets though, so that'll be a little bit of a potential problem. And then there's a cost to it, a cost in terms of both the tech fragments and credit. Wow, 1 million credits. Really? Per piece? So the Apex Predator boots, Apex Predator belt, 1,500, 1,500 tech fragments and 1 million credits for each piece. Wow. Okay, so we're really going to need to think hard about this stuff.
Right.
Do not, if I get kicked out of the Tres Comas Club, Kai Zyken's getting a stern talking to. That's all I'm saying. So, again, best in slot. If this is your best in slot and Kai Zyken only has it like once every 3 or 4 weeks and I got to wait till the 4th week to get my best in slot set bonuses, again, is that my problem or is that Kai Zyken's problem? I don't know. That's one vendor. But here at least it's high priced, but I can pick the exact piece. I'm liking that. I wasn't positive that's what would happen, but it is. So great. The second vendor, what is this vendor? I forgot what this vendor is. Yeah, so this vendor is just for tech fragments, and this vendor is the renowned vendor, which is also it's her. So it's not the droid, it's Takana. So Takana is here all the time. She's sort of like the core vendor that's always here. This is the part I really don't like. So here, for many, many fewer tech fragments, 225 tech fragments instead of 1,500, 0 credits instead of 1 million, I get an unidentified belt. And you can buy the slot I can buy, I can buy an offhand, I can buy a belt, I can buy boots, I can buy bracers, I can gather some tech fragments, and I can buy one of these unidentified items. Then you click on the item when it gets in your inventory, and it gives you a personal roll of something in theory that should be usable for you, but could be from any set. It could be any mix of stats. It could be whatever. In fact, the weird thing that we saw on the stream, which again it presented us with some questions, was Musco did Hammer Station. He got a bunch of tech fragments. He had enough tech fragments to come out here and buy a thing. He bought a couple things, and he was running on a DPS operative, and he got a set of tanking piece. So is that a bug, or is that a possible result? Is that what we could expect? And then why is this random roll? So I had random drops, random chance of getting random stuff in Hammer Station, and I could have gotten random amounts of tech fragments by disintegrating some of that random stuff, and then after all of that randomness, now I can go buy another random roll of box to see if I get something else random that I could again disintegrate into another set of random amount of currency to get some back out if it sucks. That sounds like a lot of randoms in that paragraph that I just
Yeah,
said.
it
Right?
does. Let's just see how that plays out.
Bold move, Cotton. See how that works out for you. uh, and then the last one. So I'm going to stop ranting and let you describe this last one, which he touched on a little bit too, which seemed again a little bit random to me. Maybe a little bit too random, was amplifiers. Did you see what they did with the amplifiers?
Not really. I wasn't listening at that point. I just watched them, their heads bobbing.
Yeah. So I mean, it was just another bit of randomness. It was you can take a mod or take a shell and it's got an amplifier on it, right? You can bring up the
Right.
amplifier interface to re-roll that amplifier, and you get a couple choices of what else you could choose as the new amplifier, and you have to pay a cost each time you roll the dice. So again, there's going to be either an amplifier you prefer or maybe a set of amplifiers you prefer. Even if you're doing it right, there might be a few amplifiers you're willing to choose from. Or you're going to look at the post on the forums that said, this is best in slot, this is what it has to be. And you're going to sit there and you're going to spend, 500,000
Keep
credits
rolling
and
till you get it.
roll,
Yeah.
roll until you get it. And apparently there's different grades of amplifiers, like blue grade, purple grade, 1.3% versus 1.5%. So not only might you not roll and get the amplifier you want, it might not be the purple version of the amplifier. Again, we're not completely sure if that's the way it's supposed to work, or that was a bug, or it's completely done.
And they're not too concerned about it because their kind of position or their statement about it is that they've tuned the fights to work if you have 0 amplifiers. And so you
Yeah,
can opt out of the whole amplifier deal if you want to. But
I get that.
people aren't going to do that.
Right. I mean, are you gonna think that way? I'm just gonna leave this tanking amplifier on my healing gear.
All citizens are required to seek out.
Well, maybe you will because you're a rational person. But for those of us that are not, hey, there's Zamzam. For those of us that are not rational people, we are going to get angry, like I am,
Right.
like I am doing right now, apparently. So, because again, it's the danger, the problem is going to be there will be a best in slot for your class, for your build, for what you're trying to do for PvP versus Nightmare, for PvE progression. There will be a best in slot, and that's the problem. As much as BioWare would like to make the point that it doesn't matter, and we've got bolster, and we're not tuning it to taking count of the amplifiers, and you don't need it, and as much as we might even believe in our heart of hearts that we don't need this stuff, there's going to be a best in slot list. And then what does that do? It breaks everything. So maybe the real problem, and as I tune up this rant and edit it over time, Maybe the rant is against the first person who posts a best in slot list. Maybe that's it. Maybe that's the person I need to rant against. You're going to ruin everything for everybody. If you put together a best in slot list, you're going to ruin it. You're going to ruin it all. You're going to ruin the game. But is it really their fault? Or is it
No.
inherent to the design?
Right. It isn't. It is inherent.
Inherent, that is. Okay. Well, we've gone extra long, of course, again, because every time we think we're just going to do...
As we do.
Oh, somebody in the chat room just mentioned the casino. I haven't even finished getting last year the certificates I need for the Pigman. I certainly am not expecting to get the Rhodian, but I at least want to get last year's prize. Remind me to go to the casino. When is the casino ending?
Alexa, remind Max to go to the casino.
Watch the stream. There's a couple other things in there. Corellia Flashpoint is not in the PTS because there are story spoilers in it. There is a companion that they did show off in the PTS, which I was somewhat amused by. It's not one of the old school companions that people are looking to get back. We haven't gotten any news on the original class companions, but they did bring someone back as a companion, which was quite amusing. And it looks like there's potentially some story element which explains some stuff going on there. Otherwise, Phase 2. Welcome to Phase 2. Any final closing comments on Phase 2, Seema? You ready to group up? Should we queue up here?
I am ready to group up. Let's do it.
PvP?
Let's get some flashpoints and some ops running on the PTS.
Warzone? Is that what you just said? You're looking for Warzone?
I did not say Warzone.
Heal me.
Or GFF.
Heal me, Seema.
Right. Hell yeah.
All right. So I am ready for Phase 2 as well, and so is EPC 307, who's about to get kicked out of an airlock to broadcast this podcast to all of you. Please keep up with us on Twitter at MaxTheGray and at AIESEMA. And if you know any cool people that should be playing the game with us, tell them to come check us out. They can find our podcast at YouTube/NewOverlords or NewOverlords.com or Twitch.tv/NewOverlords, usually on Tuesdays, but last couple weeks on Thursdays. Because we cannot resist the opportunity for additional news, which we did get this week. We rolled that dice. We re-rolled our news amplifier. We got news this week.
And we got the results we wanted.
Scored best in slot for podcast time slot this week. If you know anybody that should be joining Alea Iacta, our guild, to come play with us, they can find our guild information on aie-guild.org. They can jump on Starforge. They can jump in our guild Discord. There's a link on aie-guild.org on our guild website. They can jump into the SWTOR channel. Just skip right on by that WoW Classic channel. Get right to that SWTOR channel.
Yes.
And ask us for a guild invite, Republic or Imperial, because we'd love to have you. And we will talk to you soon.
Later, everyone.